Well, hello. Oh, yes. Hey, how's everyone doing? All right, here we go. Intro. All right, so today we're going to be talking about Star Trek Strange New Worlds. This particular episode is titled Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. All right, this episode begins with La'an recounting visits to Spock, loudly playing the Vulcan lute, and to Pelia's room to confiscate borrowed artifacts. While sparring with M'Benga, he suggests she's lonely. While in the corridor, she meets someone who has been shot and told she must go to the bridge while handing her a device. She sees Captain Kirk instead of Pike in the captain's chair. Later, Spock is seen on the view screen hailing the Enterprise, asking for help from the United Earth fleet against the Romulans, to which both the Vulcans and Earth are fighting. La'an and Kirk time travel to Toronto, Canada without tricorders, communicators, or phasers. They attempt to blend in. Kirk reveals his timeline is less than desirable. Kirk uses chess to earn the money after stealing clothes. Without revealing too much, La'an shares that her timeline is better because Sam is still alive and Kirk is an explorer. Then a bridge is bombed and La'an now understands the assignment. They notice a piece of debris that was blown using a photonic bomb. During a less than exciting car chase, La'an realized Kirk had never heard an infamous last name. The alien believer shows them an image of a Romulan ship. In Kirk's timeline, there will be an attack on a cold fusion plant, which is the deviation in their timelines. Needing an engineer, La'an remembers Pelia, the Lanthanite, is in Vermont. However, Pelia is not yet an engineer. They use a diver's watch with tritanium to help them find where the cold fusion is located. La'an sees her last name written on the wall of a building with a hand device that looks for DNA markers, which allows her to open the doors. But before that, Kirk and La'an kiss. The alien hunter is revealed as a Romulan who tries to slow the advancement of humanity. She kills Kirk. Then La'an kills her. After learning the facility is also a genetics lab where Khan Noonien Singh is located. The Romulan explained that Khan is the impetus for creating the Federation, and whole temporal wars were fought because of Khan. La'an is now faced with the boy version of Khan and realizes his future, though horrid, is exactly what needs to happen. When she returns to her time, she finds Pelia pleading her case about the statute of limitations over her stolen artifacts. La'an returns to her quarters and finds Agent Emily from the Department of Temporal Investigations waiting on her, who then reminds her not to share what happened. La'an calls Kirk after taking the watch off. They promise to trade stories over Sam if they ever see each other on a starbase.
Ooh.
We end the episode with La'an breaking down into near hopeless tears.
She had fell in love with James T. Kirk, who's the only woman who has done so, by the way.
Oh yeah,
and she knew that she couldn't touch him because he wasn't the one that she was with. But I think she was still happy that he was alive.
I gotta say, that's a really romantic look at it. I'm not actually sure if it's so much Kirk, although I think she was concerned for him. Mm-hmm. But she's literally has been put in a really terrible position of having to spare the life of. There we go. Thank you, Paul Wesley. Thank you, and Christina Chong. Of having to spare the life of a brutal dictator. She now is, in a certain sense, responsible for the eugenics wars, and I think that's a lot.
It's the whole thing. Like, if you went back in time, would you kill Hitler and stop all those atrocities? But if you did that, we wouldn't have the life that we live now. You know, we don't know.
I mean, it's very much a sitting on the edge of forever kind of dilemma, right? Like,
well, also consider last week's episode where we dealt with the ramifications of genetics with everything that went on with Una. If there's no eugenics war, there's no genetic ban. But then, of course, now we know there's no federation either. So
right.
Well, here's the thing about.
And I gotta tell you, okay.
Does she? So she is. I was always wondering, was she a direct descendant or was she a cousin or whatever? So they basically told you she is a direct descendant of Khan, right? I wasn't sure. I thought maybe. So if she is, genetics is passed down through generations. So if he was a eugenics experiment, then her DNA should show that, and she should not be Starfleet.
Well, she talked about that last season, how kids would taunt her, calling her an augment. But
the problem
she
is,
shouldn't even be able to be in Starfleet at this point.
I think there's such a distance between the augment
degradation of genes.
Right. Well, and it's not even just a question of degradation. I think, there's also, it's going to depend. Oh, let me put my lawyer hat on right now. It's going to depend on whether or not this is a strict liability crime or if there's an intent issue. I'm leaning in the direction of it being a strict liability crime, but we'll talk about that in a second, which basically requires that all you have to prove is that somebody somewhere mucked up your genetics. And if you can't prove that, then someone's not guilty. Well, while obviously La'an's genetics have been mucked with, she didn't do it. And it happened so far away because hundreds of years have lapsed between...
We're talking 250 years at least. So that could be 10 generations.
Right. Have lapsed between La'an and the people who decided to augment Khan, Noonien, and Singh. So I think that's the explanation. I don't think we're getting... I think it's going to be addressed because I have to say Strange New Worlds has really tried very hard to be consistent with how it treats things. So I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt to see where they're going to take La'an, and they're going to take this concept. But I think that's a plausible argument for why La'an is in Starfleet.
I like how he said soon, and she said sing.
Right. Right. That was a joke from the writer's room. Like, who are we talking about again?
Right.
Are we doing cybernetics or augments or both or what?
But does that mean that he knew who Sung was, or he just heard Sung?
Who knows? Who knows?
I'm sure Sung was doing something, no matter what the timeline divergence.
Well, yeah, we got Adam Sung at that time trying to mess with things.
Right.
As we saw
in several seasons after that.
Star Trek we don't talk about.
The best season ever.
You're welcome.
So, all right, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I actually think this episode is kind of robbed of its impact because it follows last week's.
I agree, actually.
I think I feel like we still haven't got we're episode 3, and we still haven't got the Enterprise going out to do its job yet. The first episode, it did go out and do some shit, but that wasn't its job. They haven't been sent on a mission yet. We haven't got
that was against orders in the first episode.
I think that was the best episode of the season so far. But so we just did one about.
I love you, but my lawyer heart is set on Ad Astra Per Aspera.
Yeah, I'm up there with that too, without being a lawyer.
Yeah, and then the episode 3 was about La'an and Kirk, 2 characters who we don't know much about at all. I mean, we know about Kirk, but we don't know about this Kirk. Like we haven't fell in love with this Kirk, this character.
Well,
I don't know, man. Paul Wesley's kind of doing it for me, I gotta say.
I imagine some people watching this week's episode are definitely checking that box on that Kirk now. So
yeah,
maybe not love, but definitely lust.
Mm-hmm. How about that? I see that in him. I see the charisma in him that Shatner had, and he's doing his own thing. He's doing his own way. He's not doing a bad job at it. He's doing it's different, but he's not doing a bad job at all.
Yeah, this Kirk that we see in this one is definitely more laid back and more Shatner-like than we saw in the season 1 finale.
Right.
Yeah, but I fully expect him to walk out in like Sperry's at some point.
He didn't fight anybody, did he? He just did a whole pinch. Yeah, he did a pinch.
Yeah.
No in prison.
What was he arrested for?
They didn't say.
No, well, no. It's the fact that he talked about a denobule in prison that maybe we United Earth fleet got in a war with the Denobulans.
I feel like there's a lot of conflict going on in that particular version. So like, yeah, I think this was a war prison.
My question is, I would like to know what made the Vulcans and the humans adversaries. I don't want to say enemies. I want to say adversaries.
Maybe they were afraid. I mean, their first contact was from the Romulans, right? The Romulans bombed them. So why would the Federation or Earth be allies with the Vulcans?
Well, they didn't know the Romulans bombed them.
No, they didn't. But they never had. But they never had that sort of watershed moment, right? Like where they were recovering from the eugenics wars, and now we have first contact. There was never that kind of moment, like turning point, right?
They still had the moment. They still had the moment of generating a first warp drive vehicle, and that signature.
Right, but but the Vulcans may not have been involved.
Right.
So look, from the perspective of Earth, so somebody bombed you, right? And at some point, you've got to realize that it's aliens, right? So clearly, otherwise, why would they go into space?
I feel like I should have teased my hair for that statement.
We're assuming that this is that when they were in Toronto, that it was near present day Earth, right? Mm-hmm. So if it's near present day Earth, then there's something that got them to go into space. After he also said that their Earth had been whatever, like
I think we're looking at a dystopian timeline, obviously.
Well,
and so I think we went to space because we had no choice. We'd blown the fuck out of Earth, and we Elon Musked it on out.
Yeah,
I think going into space is always the thing that's going to happen if it's possible. If you have the materials, the drive.
And it seems like this is more like the Battlestar Galactica timeline.
I don't think it needs a catalyst of like saying they went into space for this. I don't think it needs a catalyst at all. If it's possible, humans are going to do it. If it's available, they're going to take it.
But I think we take our baggage with us, and that's very much what this particular episode's about: is how we handle our baggage. And whether or not we decide to become the better versions of ourselves that we know we can be, or if we choose to do something else. If we decide, the title of the episode is from Macbeth. And it's a pretty famous soliloquy that, Macbeth says once he finds out that his wife is dead. It's a very bitter speech, right? Mm-hmm. And it's talking about, and it's basically looking at how we use our chances and how we use our stories and how we use the time that we have. And in La'an's, and that's the story we're dealing with. We're dealing with two options, right? I'm not going to get into Robert Frost on that one because I despise Robert Frost. Okay. But La'an's future means something. It's not a tale told by an idiot signifying nothing. It's not lighting fools the way to dusty death. Kirk's timeline is.
Yeah.
Because rather than deciding to take advantage of the time that they have, they fling themselves into space and come into conflict with everybody.
So yes, it was the Romulans that blew up that particular bridge, but we don't necessarily know just yet whether or not that forced Canada to respond in kind to someone that they thought could have done that, right? Which could have precipitated more and more destruction. So when I said the Romulans, I meant what we knew to be the Romulans, not necessarily what they knew to be the Romulans. And because of that particular act at that particular point, people on Earth at that point were much more belligerent, less likely to trust. That was what I was attempting to say.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why, and sort of the conversation with Sarah, I think, is helpful for Kirk too, because she talks about it. She talks about this concept of like this bridge.
But here's the thing though. So they only talk about humans as far as occupying our solar system, and that's it.
Yeah.
They have starships though, right? but
Yeah,
we're nowhere. I guess, I mean, you want to get to Mars as soon as possible, but they have starships as large as the Enterprise to go to Jupiter.
well, I mean, all we see of the Enterprise in that alternative timeline is the hallway and the bridge and the ready room. I mean,
we don't even know where it is, do we?
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, it could just be the saucer section, or it could be, besides.
No, I mean, we don't know where the Enterprise is in space. We don't know where it is.
Right. I mean, honestly, I suspect that we're looking at a much more militarized Enterprise for Kirk, which makes it kind of interesting that he handled La'an's appearance with the aplomb that he did.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're in an active war zone, and it's very clear that Romulan aggression is the Romulan Star Empire is on all fronts. They're going after Spock. Although, so if
I know where you're going.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
That doesn't make sense. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. How do we get a Spock in a situation where the Terrans and the Vulcans are not aligned?
Yeah.
Well, because
Earth just doesn't trust anyone.
No.
Exactly. So how did we get Spock?
What she's saying is
only because the Vulcans are there, and
Sarek and Amanda. What she's saying is, Spock is a hybrid, and without that union, he wouldn't exist.
Maybe Sarek tried to be. I mean, he was an ambassador, right? So maybe he tried to interact with humans, and I mean, there's nothing stopping procreation, right? There's no law saying that you can't.
Right, but
I guess
that his existence is a big question mark on that timeline. With them,
I mean, I get that I get they're like, okay, we need to use who we have, and so we tried to squeeze everybody we can in the few minutes that we have.
They should have used Sarek. They don't have him yet.
Exactly.
Have you seen
We don't
him
have
yet?
Sarek yet.
Well, I don't know what James Frayne is doing, so like.
Yeah.
No. We could use Sarek. We could use the same Sarek we had in Discovery. There's nothing wrong
James
with
Frayne.
That's James Frayne.
Yeah. Also, on the Jason mark, did you see how angry Spock got when he didn't get help? You saw it, right?
Yeah. There was definitely
without
some,
emotion. We saw the anger.
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to say?
He had emotion.
But he was also pissed on the Enterprise when somebody complained about his lyre playing.
I want to bet it was Lon, by the way, that was complaining about his playing.
It was not Lon.
No, Lon. No. I mean,
he was enforcing.
Can we also talk about how loud that must have been?
Yeah.
How horrible it must have been. He's just learning.
I would think they would have acoustic dampeners where you couldn't hear shit.
Yeah,
and you'd think that Spock would think about it and possibly
especially in
do that.
space. I mean,
space doesn't matter if you're inside the same container.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, you would maybe want to do that.
I'm just saying, like, I would think that they would have something that would keep the noise in there, especially for just security reasons. We're in the ready room.
Sanity, like nobody needs to know what like
we're in the ready room.
Engineering ensign A and like security ensign B are getting up to on their like off time.
Yeah. Unless that's what you're into. I mean,
in which case I have real questions.
In the new Trek, I do like how there are video cameras everywhere they go. The old Trek, there was no video cameras anywhere. Even in TNG, there's no video.
Deep Space Nine didn't have cameras. How does Deep Space Nine not have cameras?
I'm talking about like on away teams. Away teams would have cameras everywhere, just like they do in Discovery. Just everywhere. Every time you go down.
Well, they did that on one episode of Next Generation.
They did, yeah.
Is that the one with Geordi not being a robot?
No,
his mama or something.
No, it was the one where he turned into an alien.
Yes.
Oh, so it's 2 episodes.
Yes. That was terrifying.
He's like, computer, tell me what's making this shadow. It's like, okay.
The light there. Comment below.
But I mean, I gotta tell you, like, I mean, there is no way. Oh.
My head turned into a share button.
You covered up my face. I thought that was part of the content.
Hey, every time someone comes on, I got to do my job. That's my job. Every time somebody comes on.
No, I thought you were literally going to be like, Maria's about to say something sexual, so we've got to distract her.
No. But speaking of,
Jesse and his daughter's not here, so feel free, everybody. Will just couldn't help himself.
Sort of good for them.
I think it was like I'm not saying there's anything bad about it. I'm saying the goal that we set ourselves for, we did not meet. No. We fell short of that. That's all.
Jermaine said no words.
I wasn't even on, so.
Like I said, I think Will was.
You may not have said words, but it was on your face, my friend. It was on your face. We could see what was going on.
I said shit. Like I said something about pounding something in the spot.
You did.
Pounding emotion. And everybody just like, oh, pounding spot. And I was
that was Jermaine. Jermaine's the one who was like, I need a moment to acknowledge that Jason's talking about pounding.
That's not what I was talking about, bro.
It was just the visual imagery. I just,
You're visualizing pounding in the spot. So who's
this is my I believe you face.
There you go.
But all right, okay. So let's get back to tomorrow. So we've talked a little bit about La'an's, what she wrestles with when she has to make the decision to spare Khan Noonien and Singh. We've talked a little bit about why Kirk makes the decisions that he does. What else do we want to talk about?
I mean, wait. Do you think
other than the absolutely creepy little kids, which that almost looked like a Starfleet uniform set, by the way?
But do you think she really wrestled with that decision?
Because,
yes, I think she did. Yes, most
definitely. But she knows the outcome. She knows the overall outcome of killing him.
Does she know? I mean,
she knows Kirk's timeline.
I think if she had not gone through that particular experience, had she not, I'm not gonna say fell in love with Kirk, but whatever it was,
definitely fell in love.
Had she not experienced that, I think she might have wanted to kill Khan, but knowing what she found out, the fact that it's because of Khan that the Federation was created. It's because of Khan. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's because of Khan all of these things happen. So now she's like, you know what? No matter what I've experienced, everything in life is so much better because of Khan.
And I think there's also an element of the fact that she's making it. And I sort of see why including this episode following Ad Astra Per Aspera, right? But I think part of it is also that she's learning to let go of her bitterness. She's learning to let go of this narrative that she's received, right? Like that she is inherently bad because she is related to Khan Noonien and Singh, the same way that, we all kind of have to give up the internalized messages of we're bad because of the color of our skin, or we're bad because of who we're attracted to, or we're bad because we're what gender we are or what gender we're not.
Yeah.
I wish we'd had more time in the episode to sit with that, because that's such a huge thing for her to be able to reject this narrative that she's been fed.
Wait a minute. Can we talk about? I'm gonna mispronounce her name because I always do. I want to say
Pelia.
Pelia. Can we talk about her?
So Pelia is great, and I really love. I think we're gonna see that watch come up again. By the way,
I was wondering about the watch because they already made it a point.
I love that you had that queued up.
Because I had a question about it. I just need,
They already had the point to have it on her wrist when she came back, and I already noticed it. But then they made it a point to just zoom in on it, which I don't think they had to do that. But
yeah, I mean, come on.
It's funny that she never mentioned it. But I mean, she did say that she doesn't have a great memory. She did say that.
Not a great memory for faces, but like, she's gonna recognize that watch.
And in these times in Star Trek, people have a tendency to not talk to you about the past. If they've met you in the past, they just act like nothing happened until you realize what happened.
Also, I think Pelia puts it together when she sees La'an on the bridge, right? Like I think because Pelia's real
I
bright.
need to go back and I need to watch that because I wondered about that. I wanted to see that moment. I wanted to see whether or not there was like a silent pause, like, wait a minute, I know you.
And I think there
You know what I'm
was.
saying?
It has me wondering about watches that glow, and is it the
That's a
tritium?
thing.
Is
That
it
is
the tritium? and that
tritium
makes the
tritium
phosphorus?
watches exist.
No, but is it the phosphorus in the hands?
Yes,
In
and that's
conjunction with the- with the-
actually the issue is because the diver's watch that she was wearing was from the 80s, and so we know that it's been at least 20 years because Pelia comments that there's no more that tritium had. Well, they not Pelia, but like Kirk explains that tritium only has like a 20-year half-life, so
Right.
you know there's the tritium is now gone.
So in order,
And Pelia confirms.
the
So what
phosphorus
was-
is still in the phosphorus is still in the hand. As far as the storyline, it's less likely that they would have happened upon the that person, the Romulan that was taking pictures and stuff. That they happened upon that person,
Sarah?
Yeah, and happened upon.
I actually think I feel like that was far likelier because there were so few people there. I guess the Canadians are much nicer and less gawkier than the rest of us. We'd have to check with Manny, to be fair.
Or we can just look at Manny and just be like, yeah, they're nice.
Right. Manny is one of the nicest people I know.
Manny is from Canada and from the Middle East.
I don't know where he was born. But
I'm
his
gonna
formative years
say,
were
like that
in
man.
Canada.
That man has real affection for Hamilton, Ontario.
His formative years were in Canada, and the reason I know this is because he would tell stories about growing up to kids, and he had an afro and all the other good stuff when he was a kid. So I know, you know, that's where he was from. Can we talk about this car chase scene? I hate it.
No, wait.
Why?
I think you were quite correct when you're like this car chase shit. Like that's really where you wanted to go.
I did like how he didn't just know how to drive a car at the beginning.
That was nice.
At least I gave us that, but then all of a sudden he's in a car.
It's a little different from 7 to 9, but you can argue 7 assimilated that knowledge, I guess. But
I'm sitting over here like not only did we find the car he chooses is a red Dodge Charger in Canada. I'm pretty sure it's a Dodge Charger, right? Like I'm not making that up.
That's something like that.
I don't know cars.
I mean, it's definitely a muscle car, is what it is, and I'm just like, oh look, Kirk's penis remains small.
I will say this.
Hey, I want to hear Jermaine tell some people in a bar like, I don't know cars, but I know the classes of Starship.
Neither is going to happen. Neither is going to happen.
Galaxy
I might say I know the size of your starship,
and temperate class.
But look, there was something that I saw that I was like, whoa, wait. Kirk, he went up to the guy and he just, he knocked him out. He not strangled him.
He pinched him.
No, that was a neck pinch.
I appreciated that.
Yep.
I appreciated that. You want to know why? Because that was just like in keeping with his character being from the, what was it? United Earth, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, I like that. Like, no, it's not Federation. It's not Starfleet. It's not these ideals. It's boom. This is what I'm going to do. I enjoyed seeing that because it was in keeping with where they were in that particular story.
Yeah.
I do know that I will say this. I want to see more of Paul Wesley's Kirk after this. I really do, because I think
I do, but I don't want it to be a Kirk show.
I said I didn't want it to be a Spock show either because I was done with Spock, but now I'm really content with Ethan Peck. So
Well, I mean, Spock is part of the crew, though, so that makes sense.
And what's great about Lieutenant Kirk, though, is that he's very different than any of the previous iterations of Kirk.
There was a scene when the two of them were trying to change clothes. I thought I.
Oh yeah, and they come out wearing the same outfit.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. Okay, I think I had to delete it.
Honestly, I think there it is. I have to admit, I really sort of felt like that was very much a meme that they were incorporating, because the references to pop culture here have been really in this episode are present, but really subtle, and I liked it. Also, I was really entertained by watching, La'an feel vaguely embarrassed by watching Kirk strip.
Embarrassed? No. Was she embarrassed, or was she like verklempt?
No. I think she was initially verklempt, and then I think she was like, "But wait, I shouldn't be doing this."
Was it because he was her superior? Alleged, not really.
No. I think that was very much a you got caught. Check it out.
Were the walls coming down?
The walls are falling down. But did anybody bring up what, Keith?
Did anybody bring up the 1992 comment?
No, we were going to get there. We were actually going to get there because you're right. This is a bit of a retcon.
Well, yes, they referenced that she's been waiting for Khan for 30 years, since 1992. Which, of course, in the original series, that's the time frame we were told that Khan came out, and of course that's been retconned by the season of Star Trek that we don't talk about, as well as other references, including in the very first episode of Strange New Worlds, where we get the second Civil War becomes the Eugenics War becomes World War III.
Yep.
Whereas original series made it clear that they were two different conflicts now. They've been pushed together.
So. And one of the things I really like about Strange New Worlds is that they're trying really hard to fit into canon. There are pieces of canon that don't work, and they've taken a pretty good stance on being more flexible with that. Because in the 60s, right, the 1990s were 30 years away, right? Like, I mean,
yeah, we could have sleeper ships, we could have cryogenics, we could have genetically engineered humans, and all.
But in 2023, we were more concerned with Ross and Rachel than we were with eugenics.
Yeah, you mean 1993?
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, but like in 2023, when we're talking about like when these things are airing,
we transposed it in our head and we understood what she meant.
Yes.
Well, there was
because your universal translators were paying attention.
There was,
and then Keith is like, "But I'm gonna get you, Marie, and your little kitty too."
Okay, what were you trying to say?
Well, there was actually an article, I can't remember where it was posted just a couple months ago, about explaining why Khan hasn't happened yet in Star Trek, and and it's just pretty much saying, why is there such a difference in how everything looks in Strange New Worlds and how it looked in the original series? And they gave the explanation of, well, that's because the time travelers keep mucking everything up. So you get
there's
these
that
little
for
things.
Sure. But frankly, let's all be real. Like, budget. There are things that I think we have to acknowledge, right? Like, I mean, yes, new Trek is trying really, really hard to be consistent in a way that we didn't see even in 90s era Trek.
Definitely not.
But also I think we have to be realistic. We are talking about TV shows, and like Strange New Worlds has that massive AR wall set. So they're able to do all kinds of amazing things.
Yeah.
And why shouldn't they take advantage of that?
I just think back in season 1 where you had Una and Lon walking on the Enterprise, to get to the sports, that main section where people find. And because they've created the bubble for them to get up, but they wouldn't have been able to do anything even close to that
in 1967. Right. Also, briefly, Paramount, if you're listening, and I know you're not, but like if you could make the Scorch available to purchase, that would be great.
Yeah.
Do not snort Crown up your nose. It will.
I'm sorry. Let me press mute.
Ooh! I broke Jermaine this time. Do I get a prize?
You get to watch him laugh.
Well, no, I mean, we haven't broken him badly enough that he's gotten out of his chair yet. Like, that's a different thing.
No, not like last week.
Oh, that was last week.
I know.
Yeah, out of a chair, tumbled backwards to the doorway.
He, like, ended up at the door. Like...
I want to say that this particular Star Trek does the best job out of all series in developing their characters.
I'm going to need that all series again. I'm gonna eat that again.
Oh.
It does.
No, I'm just saying, like they take their time and they want you to understand who these individual characters. It's not like the original series where it was Bones, Kirk, and Spock.
Yep.
Right. It's a full complement, a full crew. Right.
We got more character development on Uhura in one episode of Strange New Worlds than we got in 55 years of the character.
Right? Chapel has development. We're taking M'Benga, who was a character that appeared largely in like 2-3 episodes of the original series, and we've given him a history. We've given him a family. We've given him trauma. Like, I mean, we know who this character is, and he's fascinating.
Absolutely.
Hell, he's becoming a sex icon.
Right, he's
fandom.
Sparring with Lon. I mean,
I know, but let's have a moment to appreciate how awesome that was.
Yeah.
Yes.
What character are you talking about?
I must say, I did like rewind, and I wanted to pause, and I
I have been loving the memes that have been floating across like Trek fandom, about like my sexuality is the cast of Strange New Worlds.
Yeah. Welcome back, Jason.
Yeah, Jason, it's fine. You can judge me. I'm cool with it. But I mean, we're even taking the characters.
Yeah, what character are you
got
talking about right now?
All of them.
All of them.
But we're even getting like development out of Mitchell, right? Who's got comparatively little screen time, even in Strange New Worlds. But we got a sense of her in Breaking the Circle, and then we've got Ortegas, who's been like slaying every time she's on screen, and we have a sense of who she is, right? I mean, even T'Pring last season.
So true. So very true.
Well,
the whole thing, I mean, all of season 1 just makes Amok Time hurt so much more.
Yeah. One thing that's interesting to note is how little of Pike we've gotten across 3 episodes now. He was in 3 minutes of the first episode.
Yes, I noticed that.
Only about 10-15 minutes of last week and 30 seconds this week.
Dude, I know we said Pasalk wasn't coming back. I know we did, and we were all like, please God, don't. But I think it's coming. I think we're going to see that pop up again, and I think we're going to get a major Pike episode this season.
Well, I know Kirk is going to be back. They only said it was 1 episode, but we now know it's more. Yeah,
I thought it was 3. I read something that said that he was going to be in at least 3.
Okay. Well,
I would like to see more out of Sam. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I did see one thing. Anson Mount was asked about why he was in so little of the first episode, and he said, "I couldn't be on set because of birth that he needed to be."
Oh yeah, his child was born.
So they wrote the episode with him as little as possible, and now here we are 3 episodes in. Like, all right, was he missing for like a month and a half? And
look,
paternity leave, y'all.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't,
Yeah.
and that's the great part, because we know Pike's coming back. That's fine, but we get the opportunity to deal with and interact with all of these other great characters. Like in Breaking the Circle, we talked about how exciting it was to spend an episode exploring the friendship between Chapel and M'Benga.
Yeah,
agreed.
Right,
agreed.
And then we get it's all Una all the time, and also some really great La'an moments in Ad Astra Per Aspera, and then in Tomorrow, we have this amazing La'an episode where Christina Chong does so much with her body, with her face in this episode. That was hard. Watching La'an break down was hard. And I have to admit, I hated Emily for a minute there. Because you cannot ask this person to struggle with this intense trauma and then be like, yeah, BT dubs, never talk about it again. Without expecting some kind of
emotional reaction.
Yeah, I would really like I want us to get an Ortegas episode.
It's coming up. It's one where they're supposed to be going to a planet, because they released a clip like 6 months ago of her getting all dressed up and like trying on hats and then getting ready to walk out and then getting told, no, you're not going.
Look, I will say this. Their particular writers, I don't know if it's because of the cast. I don't know if it's because of having to fit all of these different parts of canon into a story that they want to tell. I don't know if it's any of that, but these particular writers are outstanding.
I think it's a little bit of all of the above. I really feel like they legitimately like each other and they like working with each other, and it shows.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get this tremendously wonderful chemistry between all of them, and that's just a joy to watch.
Yeah, there isn't an odd one out. Like, we had good cast on Deep Space Nine, but it was obvious that some members of the cast of Deep Space Nine didn't get along with certain other members.
But there were definitely some tensions, and I don't think it was necessarily tensions in the sense that like they didn't like each other, but I just don't think they were like family in quite the same way that the TNG cast are. And that's what really saved season 3 of Picard.
Yeah.
Because all of those folks were super excited to be back together with their buddies.
Absolutely.
So I get the feeling in Strange New Worlds that we're dealing with that kind of chemistry. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
By the way, next week's episode, Among the Lotus Eaters, is the Ortegas episode that we were promised.
I'm a little concerned about the Lotus Eaters, not going to lie. But we'll talk about that when we get there.
Before we go, look. I can't tell you how many people that we've had to watch us live. Thank you all so very much for watching us live. But before you go, keep blowing up the comments because it lets us know what you're thinking. And of course, we love to laugh, so keep it light but honest. In the meantime, kiss that subscribe button, lick the like button, share us to the world, nibble on the notification button, and make love to our senses in the comments.
Y'all, this is getting real sexual real fast.
And that's exactly what you want. See y'all.